I'm surprised by how cold it is, still. Maybe it's always this cold around this time of year. In North Alabama. Northwest Alabama. I keep thinking about Tribeca, and I'm always thinking about it. I'm always thinking about, like, how stupid it was. God was obviously, like, giving me permission to, like, take a little bit of the devil inside of me. As far as going all the way there and letting him do his bit, you know? I guess what I'm saying is I see myself as a magician as well, as like a practitioner, as like a legitimate adept, you know? And I didn't want to give him the satisfaction, I guess. That's probably an easy answer. And it's so arrogant, you know? Like, of course, it's stupid. But valid, intellectually. Then when he turned his back on me, in my mind, I wasn't thinking, oh yeah, cool, now I can humiliate him. I never thought that. I never thought, like, oh, I'm gonna see if he gives me an excuse to humiliate him. Never. I never thought that. Right? But when he turned his back, I guess that, like, on a primal level, like on a really deep level, I thought about January. I thought about him turning his back on me. I thought about, like, that he was still turning away from me. Right? And so, neither of us broke. Neither of us got what we wanted. Right? In my mind, I was supposed to think, oh, this is, right? Right? Now is when. Right? He wants me to take my seat. Right? He wanted me to submit to him, I wanted him to submit to me. Right? Only in superficial ways. That's the truth. Both instances. Right? I just wanted him to, like, give me a sincere gesture of love and respect. He wanted me to give him just a little bit of my mind because he knew it was so wide. In exchange for Mikey and Sydney and the role, money. Right? So, we both were, like, toe-to-toe with, like, dragons. You know, it was like two dragons staring at each other. Psychic dragons. And he's operated the way that he has because no one really understands. Like, there aren't really any disciplined adepts in Hollywood. Right? They just like to wax poetic about occultism. They're not actually prepared to sacrifice anything. And so in that way, I already sacrificed my body. I guess that's the point. That I was supposed to sacrifice a little bit of my mind to get money, women, fame, career, all these things. And in exchange, I give Quentin, like, a good thing in his mind. A good man in his mind, you know? I needed to see farther. That's the point. That's the point. He operates the way he always does. But I don't operate on medical levels. Beyond, right? That everything that I do is a magic spell. But you understand what I'm saying, right? But I know that we're gone psychologically, right? That's the point, right? That we can all, right? I never would have not given him what he wanted if he had been the way that he is, honestly, to me all the time, right? He ain't got to seduce me, right? He should have just started fucking me immediately, right? Or, right, like, you understand what I'm saying, right? Like, that if he wanted to do it, like, their way, he should have let them come to me. Right? Or if he wanted to do it his way, he should have said, right, sit up straight and pay attention. I'll make your fucking life miserable and seek to destroy you if you don't give me what I want. because he's actually a goblin. You get it? He's a psychic goblin. He's not a child of light, right? Like you have to, right? Psychic understanding comes at a cost. You always have to pay the ferryman, right? It's not like you don't just like get, right? So, Quentin sacrificed everything good in him. All selfishness, all wickedness, right? Manipulation, control. I sacrifice everything evil within me. And so we were both supposed to exchange something, right? And that's where it's like kind of funny on some level. That we're each these like really dense, like kind of golden braids, or a golden braid for me, a black braid for him, of like stubbornness, essentially. Where it's like, nope, this is my path, and like I'm gonna fucking like stay on this path. And that's kind of funny. But not insofar as him denying them the right to come speak to me about the movie. That's my point. I do like genuinely believe that, like on every level, like even on his level, because they're his. They're already his. Right? They've already submitted. They've already done 6 sadistic sexual shit with him for the last 6 years. And so if they see a real way to justify it, like in their minds, like publicly, right? White magic, right? My letter, right? Physical document, my headshot. Right? No subtlety agency bullshit. Right? You lost the magic game. As soon as you deny any part of that, anything. Right? You can be an ascetic. You can be a hermit. Right? And that's all fine and dandy, and you can cast spells upon the world that have real impact. Right? You can be a witch doctor who heals people in a cave. Right? But if you want to start casting spells with like groups of people, right? If you want to have like an order, if you want to say like, oh, like yeah, we're all gonna like do this thing, right? Then as soon as there's like any sort of like perturbation within that, right, it poisons the well forever. You get it? Right? And so again, it's like snot cloud, you know. I know that he's been cruel about me a lot, and I am above it. I don't care what he said, you know. But I've never been interested in denigrating people because I know how it means to be broken, you know. That's all anyone ever had to do was tell me. Like, 1 second. Sorry, I let my dogs out, but. Right? All they had to do is like talk to me like a person, you know, and say the scope of their intent, right? The cost of my desire, sleep now in the fire, right? And I would have been forthright and said, well, I don't know, you know, like I don't know if like I wrote you about a different movie. I don't know that I can do that movie. Right? And that would have been all above board. Right? Pay me for the scene, make your movie. Right? This is what brings me back to the women every time. Like, beyond notions of arrogance, beyond notions of saying, like, Sydney Sweeney is, like, wow, you know? Like, Mikey Madison is so pretty, such a unique facial structure. Beyond all of that, right? That there must be a reason he has treated me this way all this time. Right? And if the truth is that he's addicted to being a psychic, right? That he doesn't know how to communicate to anyone any other way, right? And that those women, right, saw the white magic that I was offering in like writing a sincere letter and like putting my headshot and saying, I'm a really talented guy, I can give you more than anyone. And like they actually read it, like they actually got it, especially after I sent them the Hamlet, especially after I sent them Django. Especially after I sent them the 3 songs that I sang. Like all these things, like that does like, right? If the film, like, assuming the film is not what I thought it was, right? That the film is about an actor, right, who wants to be a writer, not a writer who wants to be an actor. I guess, like, yeah, like that's a nice way of putting it, actually. because I started writing really before I got into acting, like properly, understanding it intellectually. Then it stands to reason that if that actor, right, who is the movie critic, right, exacts a sadistic sexual scene with these women, and it's Brad Pitt, and they feel like they're just spreading their legs for fucking crusty old men, then it kind of does make a lot of sense why he would be so awful, and why he would prevent them from coming to me, because they're right. They're terrified on some level. That I don't know. Honestly, at some point, it gets ridiculous, and I feel like that they're there. That they're like, yeah, I feel like Brian's right. I feel like it's stupid that we have a bunch of money and we can do whatever we want, right? And we can actually like not be under, right? That they can like all think that Quentin's cool, but we haven't thought he's cool for a long time, and Brian's actually fucking cool, and he's rad, and he's fine, and he's a fucking genius, and all these things, right? Doesn't that kind of makes a lot of sense, right? Right? The secret to my clairvoyant mastery is my celibacy. There is no other secret. Right? That through my liberating my sexual energy, like out of my terrestrial body into my mind, I've devoted the last 10 years of my life to wisdom. Masturbate as much as I want. I haven't for like 5 days now. 6 days, 7 days. I don't know. I don't do it, right? So as to Quentin's clairvoyant mastery is his fixation on his genetic deficiency. Right? He sets up these elaborate like things with his mind because his body is broken, and if I understood that, I would have helped him. I would have fucked him, like in that way. But I thought that he was just like a whole. I thought he was whole and he had everything, and he was just a creep. Right? But he couldn't see what I was saying. He couldn't see that I was saying that this is about my writing. This is about the letters. Here's the fucking letter. Are you still denying my writing? As a practitioner, as an adept, I shoved this letter all the way up to your face. Right? And so, if the truth is that the women always loved the letters, that he doesn't get that he is a miserable goblin. Right? He's supposed to be the clairvoyant, not me. Right? I arrive at my power by denying that part of me. Right? So I could not. Right? I only am now seeing the women like as an actual like explanation for like why he's so ill, why he's been so awful to me all this time. And so clairvoyance comes at a cost. If I was supposed to divine through Quentin's initiation that I would get hot pussy, I was never gonna pass. I can't see that, like that's not like boom, I have no clairvoyance if I seek that with it. You get it? As soon as I push like that energy like out, right, with the desire to acquire something physically, right, as a sexual animal, boom, the magic's dead. There is no magic. That's the point. I have to find God. I have to find divinity. I have to find wisdom, right, mastery, right, all these things. Like that's like what I find. That's what I find with my clairvoyance, right? And so camaraderie, communion, friendship, brotherhood, those are the things that you find, right? And when you see isolation, right? When you look out with that clairvoyant eye and you see, right? Manipulation, control, turning their back on you, right? Then on the most stubborn levels of jackass arrogance, right? The divinity and you will exchange in equal kind. I don't want to act like it was the right thing to do, because it wasn't the right thing to do. Right? But I'm white magic, you get it? Like I'm not black magic. Right? In his mind, he was like, oh, I got these girls, like he'll give me what I want, he wants this money, he wants this role. Right? And in my mind, I was like, oh, you don't respect my mind. Right? But if I knew it was about the girls, right? If I knew that Mikey and Sydney, right, wanted to speak to me about the role, that they were like excited to do the movie with me, that that's what this was all about, that they flex their star power. I would have given him anything he wanted. I would say, oh yes, like of course, like that's great. They're cool. I bet they're really cool. Right? I guess like he resents the fact that they like wanted to seduce me immediately. I think that is like, right? At the risk of arrogance, that they were like, because I'm so pure, right? Like I'm just like this radiant, like tower of light, you know? That I didn't mention the women at all. I just talked about like the scenes, like talked about like, oh, like why this movie's tough and like why I need to like, right? Because it was my genuine concern that no actors wanted to touch it, because it's like, nah, that's a hard script, I bet. And maybe that is true on some level, but I suspect no one but Brad read it. In the studio. And Sydney and Mikey. Get it? Right? But I think that he always resented the fact that they wanted to, if not go personally, then send Sophia, the girl that was in front of the theater, right? To say, right? Do you think I'm pretty? You know, like yeah, like that's, isn't that kind of like sweet and innocent and therefore beautiful? Yucky, bleh, control, bleh, bleh, black magic snot cloud. Right? I don't know what the truth is. Hopefully we can speak soon. Let me know what you think.